Thank you. And welcome. Welcome to our third annual Wit and Wisdom of Aging Luncheon. Some crowd, huh? Now we have a real full program. And by the way, my name is Estelle Crawford, and I'm president of the Pines of Sarasota Foundation. What an honor. We have a real full program today, so I would invite you to begin eating your lunch. And for some of you, that means dessert first. I couldn't resist. Today's conversation with our panelists will offer a glimpse into three very accomplished lives. But just for a moment, I'd like us to have a different conversation, one that focuses on senior health care. You know, our community is ground zero for seniors who are 65 and over, and the fastest growing segment are those over 85. Now, we are blessed in this community with some folks who are over 85 who can make the Energizer Bunny ashamed. Right, Betty Schoenbaum? But for some, health hasn't been so kind. And when those who are over 85 suffer from some health-related issues, 42% of those are at risk for some type of dementia. Well, Pines has been in our community caring for our seniors for, now almost 65 years. We offer assisted living, skilled nursing, Alzheimer's dementia care. And our stellar reputation remains, even as our commitment to provide the same level of care to those who have, through no fault of their own, outlived their financial resources, and that is not an easy commitment to make. So this is an opportune time to recognize the president and CEO of Pines, who oversees this wonderful campus, and that's John Overton. John, would you please stand up? And I would like the trustees of both boards, led by Chairman Mike Pender on the foundation side and Chairman George Manzer on the corporate side, and all the trustees to please stand up. Get a round of applause. Come on, stand up. Thank you. One of our family members recently asked, how do you do it? How is it that you can continue to provide care for my mom, and it's the same level of care that you provide to those who've long ago outlived their financial resources? How do you do it? And in the beginning, you know, my first reaction was to say, well, there's nothing magical about it. But you know, there is something magical. It's the magic of philanthropy. Although we have created innovative business initiatives, we're living in a time that's an awful paradox, because the state and federal reimbursements are rapidly declining, but the ever-growing need for senior health care is increasing. And that's why it is so important both to be able to get new friends, identify new friends to share with Pines, and generate new support. And to help assure that we accomplish our goals are two co-chairs. So I'm proud to introduce one of our co-chairs, Kim Ball. Come on up, Pin. Kim is an AV-rated attorney with the commercial trial firm of Harley and Balls in Bradenton, named for 2011 and 2012 a Florida legal elite by the Florida Trend magazine and Super Lawyer by Super Lawyer magazine. I never knew that there was such a thing. Kim received her degrees from Vanderbilt University and Stetson University of Law, and in her spare time, she happens to be a trustee of the foundation and a platinum sponsor. Welcome, Kim. as our co-chair, and Melissa Lerner. Melissa, please stand up. Melissa is the other half of this dynamic duo. Melissa has been a nurse here in Sarasota since '93. She's married to Dr. Brad Lerner, concierge physicians, Lerner & Cohen Group, who's also a fabulous gold sponsor. And you'll be seeing Melissa in just a little bit. Kim, take it away.
I have to say, despite being a lawyer, you can see why I have been involved with this fundraiser for the last 3 years. Estelle is addictive. And a tough lady to say no to, and wonderful for the clients. We want to welcome all of you, our donors, our public officials, our healthcare providers, and all of you who are here for the Pines event. The Pines is getting such wonderful attention, and I think this community is really experiencing and realizing what a wonderful gem we have here in Sarasota. We also want to thank our sponsors. This is the most number of sponsors we have ever had for a Wit and Wisdom Luncheon, and we cannot thank you enough, and it's a huge step towards our goal today. I'm not going to list all the sponsors because we promise every year we're going to get you out of here on time. Please look at your brochure. We have listed all the sponsors there. They're on the magazine or the TV when you came in. Please thank our sponsors, and again, we thank you very much. We're here today to see a wonderful program, and you will see a wonderful program. We have 3 fabulous panelists and a fabulous moderator, but we're also here for the Pines. And I'm going to just have you take a look on your table. You'll see a yellow envelope. Please take a look at that envelope. We are going to ask you to grab that envelope later on in the day, but if you could start thinking about how you can help the Pines, it will mean wonders. Thank you all. Enjoy your lunch. Enjoy your program today. And again, thank you for being here. Melissa and I were asked to talk to you about why we are involved with the Pines, and we have very different stories. A lot of people have said to me, Kim, why are you involved in the Pines? And I have to, I'm an attorney. I deal with commercial cases. I do deal with, some elderly issues in some of my cases, but I'm very fortunate in my family that I don't have dementia and I don't have Alzheimer's. We have a lot of other things falling apart on us, but fortunately we do have our brains. My children will say otherwise. But we don't have that in our family. And I've been a resident of Sarasota since 1971. My mom is here, my sister is here. They've been for the last 4 events of the Pines. And I'm embarrassed to say the first time I stepped foot on the Pines campus was about 7 years ago. I had a legal case that required me to go see the Pines, and I was shocked. I had driven by and never had stepped foot on the place. I walked into a beautiful, green, serene, calm, clean, loving environment. I saw happy residents. I saw wonderful employees. Every time I've been on that campus, they've been happy, helpful. I saw children. That shocked me, that were interacting with the residents and interacting with the folks that worked there. And I met Estelle, and I got hooked. And since then, I have been involved with the Wit and Wisdom, and I have been involved now with the foundation, and I've been amazed at what I've seen, the growth of the Pines, where the Pines is going. But every time I've been on that campus, I have still seen that green, serene, happy, caring place. It is a magical place for Sarasota. I have stayed committed to the Pines because it is a true gem.
Good afternoon. I won't cry, but I'm shy. So let's see. The Pines of Sarasota means a lot to me. It's a place of love and kindness, a place of generosity and respect. You may ask, well, how is it that this young woman could truly know this? How is it that she could feel so strongly this way about a facility that cares for the elderly? A facility that cares for the broken, needing physical rehabilitation. Could it be that she is familiar with the Child Care Education Center? They are interacting the aging with the youth. Could it be that she is a nurse? Could it be that she has two people very close to her heart that thrive there and call Pines their home? You are correct. All of these are true. In fact, it was just a few years ago when it started to become apparent that my in-laws would no longer be able to live alone independently for much longer. Whether this was the obvious progression of my mother-in-law's Alzheimer's disease or the fragility of my father-in-law's everyday strength, it became clear a change was needed for their safety and my husband and I's peace of mind to know they were not lacking for food, hydration, or things we take for granted, like bathing and elimination. So my husband, Brad, and I visited many assisted livings and memory units looking for the perfect place for them to live out their golden years. These may sound like familiar feelings that some of you may have had as it relates to your family members or friends. My feelings were complicated by the strong desire to care for them myself. I wanted them to live in our home. I wanted to cook for them, care for them, and love them. No one could do it like I could. I was the nurse of the family. I had been trained to care for the ill, the fragile, the elderly. I can do it, only me. Forgetting I work full time, forgetting we are raising teenage children, as well as a new marriage to nurture. I can still do it, I told my husband, only me. So that would be the plan. They would live with us when the time came. That was the plan. Until one day, Mimi and Jules were away out of town on a cruise, and Mimi had a fall. The ship's doctor came to the stateroom to find the room in complete disarray. They hadn't been to meals for days, and none of their meds had been taken. We got a call from the ship's doctor that Mimi had been taken to the infirmary and was strapped down to keep her under control. Jules at her side. Things from this point would never be the same again for Mimi, as she suffered a true traumatic event that put her into a complete state of advanced Alzheimer's. After arriving safely back to Florida, Mimi was immediately hospitalized and would need physical rehab to get strong again so we could bring her home. It became apparent, as recommended by Brad and his 3 grown children, that it would not be safe or sufficient for them to be alone all day while we were at work. So we revisited the rehab centers, ALFs, and memory units locally, and just couldn't grasp that the time had come to make this choice. They were small and filled with people much more frail. I said to Brad, there is one more place I want to go. A place I once worked while in nursing school. If their standards were as high as mine back then, I believe they would be the same today. We arrived at the Pines of Sarasota, its newest building, the rehabilitation unit, fresh and new, clean and full of life, greeted immediately by our unexpected visit with kindness and immediate attention, keeping our professions undercover during our unexpected visit. It was perfect. Perfect for Mimi and her acute rehab needed. So she was discharged from the hospital and started rehab at the Pines. Jules visited her every day while staying with us. Upon her completion of rehab, it became evident that Mimi would need to live in a secure facility, as she was a risk to wander. But Jules would not need that level of care yet. He couldn't be alone. He could not drive. He would not live away from Mimi. He insisted he be near her. What do we do? The Pines of Sarasota had all of the things we needed for them right there. A secure memory unit, an assisted living. They could be close to each other. I couldn't grasp the change in their lifestyle. I couldn't grasp the smaller living quarters they would be spending their years in. As we pondered outside in the garden at the Pines, I will never forget the woman, a nurse who came up to me and said, I see you are struggling with this choice. What is it? I said, I just can't imagine my mother-in-law living in a small room, not even with her own bathroom. She needs her own bathroom. Mimi would spend hours in the bathroom putting lipstick on and jewelry and more lipstick and more lipstick. Then she said to me, "Close your eyes. Imagine Mimi in her new home, full of many bedrooms, many friends, a garden, a big, beautiful dining room, even bigger than any she has ever had before, a piano, warm food prepared for her, activities, and a big bathroom. It just happens to be in the hall of this beautiful big house, not in her room. How wonderful a place to be," she said. Then it clicked. She was right. So that is where Mimi has called home for many years, and Jules lives next door in assisted living. Brad and I visit weekly, and each and every time we are delighted and pleased with the consistent, tender, loving care. We are never regretful of our choice in choosing the Pines of Sarasota to do what I thought only I could do. Thank you to each and every one of you here today for taking the well-being of the aging, the elderly, and the frail seriously, and contributing to the preservation and growth of the Pines of Sarasota. It warms my heart to see this room full of such wonderful people. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa and Kim, and Melissa particularly for your poignant story. It is really a good time for us all to be together here today, given what's happened on the East Coast in the last 24 hours. It just makes me feel good to be with all of you who give of your time and your funds and your heart to such an important organization as the Pines. There's a, I call young, couple who become close to my husband and I, and they are donors at Gulf Coast Community Foundation where I work, and they have really reached out to touch me personally. My husband's stuck in New York, and we're not sure when he's going to get home, and they are going to do the picking him up, getting him to where his car is and such this week because of a personal issue going on with my own mother. So I understand they just whispered in Scott's ear that they're doing something very special to the Pines, and if I could have Scott Anderson from Gulf Coast Community Foundation up here to tell us what it is. Scott, you're live.
I hope I'm live. I think I'm live almost every day, Terry. Wait a minute. That's a very cool. We are so fortunate. And where's Melissa? Melissa, can you join me too? I mean, you know, we just saw the magic of the Pines, if you will. I'm very fortunate that I met Estelle and I met John many, many years ago. So the Pine certainly is not new for me. And I don't think it's new for anybody here. And I think that, you know, we saw the magic of the Pines. We saw all the wonderful things that the Pines has done since 1948, if I heard that right. All those phenomenal things, and they need our help. You heard the phenomenal things that, Melissa, come here. You heard the phenomenal things that,
I'm shy, remember?
Oh, but you're not shy. You're not shy at all. All the phenomenal things that Melissa told us that the Pines does for your in-laws. That's phenomenal. And think about that doubled by all the people that are at the Pines, but they need your help. They need all of our help, actually, today. And so I've got people in the audience. You will see them. They're waving their hands. Veronica Brady, I've got Kim. Jane, where are you? I've got Jane right here. On your tables, to continue the great work that the Pines has done, are these yellow envelopes. We need your help. We truly need your help. If you could please fill out the envelope, raise your hand, and let us know that it's available for pickup. Somebody is going to come to pick that up so that we can, yes, Terry, yes. Yes, so we can. Thank you, Marilyn. Let alone, Terry just reminded me of something and whispered that we are very, very fortunate in that young couple that Terry talked about that's a good donor to Gulf Coast and personal friends of Terry's and mine and of many of you in this room. Not only are they helping Terry make sure her husband gets home safely, they also just offered a very nice match for every dollar in this room today. The Z Foundation. Thank you, Z Foundation. So we need your help. Can we see a sea of yellow? A sea of yellow. Thank you, John. A sea of yellow. We need help filling out the envelopes, please.
Where else can you go and double your money? And I'm sure we have some bankers in here who would agree.
Just stand there. Remembering the video, remember Melissa's great story about her in-laws and all the great things that had happened for them there. As we continue this day, this yellow envelope will be most important for everybody here. Mimi. I'll never get it right.
Mimi.
She needs your help. We need your help. This is the one event the Pines has every single year to make this happen. Again, since 1948, if you can imagine, we have been blessed in Sarasota to have an organization like the Pines. Veronica, are you out there? There you are.
I'm standing by a wonderful table that is very active with their yellow envelopes. Just got one from Paul Hudson.
Thank you, Paul. I see everybody actively filling it out. Thank you. Yes. Kim, Jane, are we working? Beautiful, thank you. Right over here. You know, Terry Clobber, thank you very, very much. Michael, the food was delicious today. How about that food today? Yay! Laura, thank you. Everyone's pointing out to me. Right here, thanks. Thank you very much. Remembering since 1948, the match, and most importantly, the match that we have. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Phil. The match that we have doing, and thank you, Z Foundation, again, for making this match possible today. You know, all they had to do was hear that Terry Hansen was moderating this thing. By the way, Terry, as everyone's filling this out, you know, the Pines has ice cream in the afternoon. We never have ice cream in the afternoon at the foundation. I might relocate. Hey. Thank you, John Patterson. Thank you, John Lopez. Thank you all. Thank you guys very much. Joan Geyer, thank you very much. Did you hear that? Thank you to the bankers, U.S. Trust, Northern Trust. Thank you very much. I see PNC right here, Scott Collins. Thank you. Commissioner John Thaxton and the newest employee of Gulf Coast Community Foundation. Sandra, keep Sarasota beautiful, baby. Hey. Thank you. George Cole and Judy Zuckerberg, thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Look at those yellow envelopes. We do have a sea of yellow. Right over here. Synovus Bank, thank you very, very much. And now we have the new CEO of the Y who just gave us congratulations. Welcome to Sarasota. Welcome. Look at that sea of yellow. Everybody who's got the accumulation of envelopes, look at this. This is great. Thank you so much. Charla, I saw you filling yours out. Thank you very much. Caught you. No, wait. Thank you very much. Oh, Tom Esselman, Institute of the Aging. Thank you very much. Look at this great panel we've got accumulating here. Sea of yellow for all the people who call the Pines home. For I'll never get Mimi's name right, Melissa. Melissa, for your great talk today. Thank you. The yellow envelopes, making sure that the Pines can continue to do all the great work that it's done. Again, they're one event. I see a lot of envelopes over here in the back. Thank you. What would Sarasota do without the Pines? Since 1948, providing all those great services to so many people of Sarasota County. And if anyone's been there, it's not just helping the elderly. I saw a we in that video. Oh my gosh. This is what, I'm going to drop these. This is what we call a sea of yellow. Look at Veronica Brady's hands. This is the great work. Take a look, raise those envelopes up. Look at this. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for all making this possible today. Thank you for all your help. Continuing the great work that the Pines does since 1948. As the movie so perfectly said, the magic of the Pines. John, Estelle, the magic that the two of you deliver and make possible at the Pines. Thank you very much. Most importantly, to all of you in this room who are making the magic of the Pines possible right here. Thank you. Rochelle, thank you very much. Yes. Look at this. Yeah, please. I'm going to drop them.
Let the panel get started, and we'll take one more call at the end.
Exactly. You can, no, you know what happens when you give me the mic, Terry. Please continue filling out your envelopes. We're going to get ahead with the program now. Go ahead with the program. Again, I want to thank all of you for all your help for the Pines today. The Z Foundation, thank you for your generous match today. And all of you, thank you for being so attentive of me. Thank you, and here we go with the rest of the program. We'll call for the final yellow envelopes at the end. Thank you.
All right, Scott, thank you for getting everybody warmed up.
I got to do my envelope.
Go do your envelope. Now we're going to start to have a little fun in hearing about some wit and wisdom from some folks who live in our community who you have heard of but may not have met. So this afternoon we're going to meet three very wonderful people.
Is the mic on?
Is the mic on? I'll hold it like this. Is that better?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Jack. All right, so we have our three panelists to my right. First, we have Tony Jacklin, who has experienced a career that all professional golfers aspire to duplicate. The list of achievements that Tony has amassed over the last 45 years has led to his name becoming synonymous with the great legends of the game. Tony Jacklin became the first British player to win the British Open at Royal Lytham and is it Lytham or Lytham? Lytham and St. Anne's, and 1 year later he won the U.S. Open, holding both the U.S. Open and the British Open titles simultaneously. Thank you. And of course, we know it was Tony who battled Jack Nicklaus to a tie in the final match of the 1969 Ryder Cup, securing a tie for Great Britain and Ireland, when Nicklaus famously conceded to Jacklin's 3-foot putt on the final hole.
2 feet.
2-foot putt.
18 inches.
And he told me he has jet lag because he just got back from China. I'm thinking he is on his game, as he was then. The concession ended with the two golfers walking off the course with arms around each other's shoulders. Tony and Nicklaus later co-designed a golf course right here in our own backyard called The Concession to commemorate the moment. Tony Jacklin became the driving force behind establishing the European Tour. Tony has won a total of 27 tournaments on the PGA Tour, European Tour, and Senior PGA Tour. He's one of a very few players to be invited to become an honorary member of the Royal and Ancient, the governing body of golf. In 2002, he was inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame. Tony has been awarded the CBE Commander of the Order of the British Empire by Queen Elizabeth for his services to golf. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Tony Jacklin. Next to Tony, we have the beautiful Sandra Washington, a woman who, with my great admiration, has a just say no day. I love that. We'll hear more about that a little bit later. In 1970, Sandra permanently relocated to Sarasota, where she worked for the city for 22 years. She started the Keep Sarasota Beautiful program in 1987. 5 years later, Sandra transferred to Sarasota County to direct the countywide Keep America Beautiful affiliate. Sandra has been employed with the city and the county for a combined 41 years. She's now host and producer of a 1-hour talk show on Comcast Cable Blab TV, appropriately named The Sandra Washington Show. Among her many contributions to the citizens of the area, she has participated on the Sarasota Chamber of Commerce Leadership Steering Committee, is president-elect of Business and Professional Women's North Sarasota Chapter, a member of the United Way Allocations Committee, and Putting on the Glitz Fashion Show Committee. She's a member of the Sarasota County NAACP and is also on the Black Achievers Program Steering Committee. Please join me in welcoming Sandra Washington. And I would like to think that Jack Perkins' claim to fame is being my neighbor, but I suspect that the fact that he's an Emmy Award winner might be a little bit more notable. Jack Perkins worked for over 40 years in television and radio, including stints as an NBC News correspondent, and most recognizably as host of the A&E series Biography. Jack has interviewed some of the most notable celebrities and politicians of our time and covered some of the most dramatic events of the past century, including the civil rights struggle, the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the Kennedy assassination. Once dubbed America's most literate correspondent by the Associated Press, Jack continues to be as active in his retirement as most people are in the height of their careers. His narrations can be heard on the videos for Acadia National Park, the Biltmore Estate in North Carolina, and the Edison Museum right here in Fort Myers. He contributes a regular column to Venice Magazine and just finished a 9-year stint as host of a Gulf Coast Journal with Jack Perkins on WEDU. Jack is also a respected nature photographer and poet with several published books to his credit, books that over the years have become more and more an expression of his growing faith. His newest book, a memoir, will be published by Zondervan next March. It is titled Finding Moosewood, Finding God. Please join me in welcoming Jack Perkins. So Tony, for those of us who are non-golfers, please explain just what Jack Nicklaus's concession to your 2-foot putt meant.
18-inch.
And meant, why is it such a big deal in golf?
Well, nobody really gives you very much in golf. It's a solitary pursuit at the end of the day. The Ryder Cup was a very competitive event between, in those days, Great Britain and Ireland and America. I'd won the British Open 2 months before that we were playing that Ryder Cup at Lytham, as you've alluded to. And Jack and I were good friends then, and we came down to that last hole, and he knew as well as anybody that putting is easy. It's the circumstances that make it difficult. And the pressure in that situation was really on. And he picked my marker up from 2 feet, and he said to me when he did it, "I don't believe you would have missed that, but I would never give you the opportunity in these circumstances," because he knew at that point in time Britain had a new hero. He didn't want to see anything happen to spoil that, and it was a great gesture of sportsmanship and friendship on his part, and he's always been, when he was at the top of the game, and he was at the top of the game for a very long time, he was hard to measure up to. He had it all, Nicholas, and we're still dear friends, and we spend as much time as we can together.
That's a wonderful story of philanthropy, the love of mankind, the two of you. That is wonderful. So thank you, Tony. Sandra, when we talked, you mentioned earrings. You mentioned your earrings were important. Please tell us the story about why earrings are an important part of your grooming these days.
Well, as I told her that I was in school in Jacksonville, and I had some roommates, my college roommates, and we were all about 5 of us living together. So one day I came home from my classes, and one of my roommates said to me, she said, you know, we were just sitting here just talking about you. You so doggone sharp. You always step out like you look like you coming out of a magazine, but you don't have the first pair of earrings on. So from that day on, I thought, you know, she's right. So I started wearing my earrings to complete my outfits. Now I have more than I can handle.
Very good. And Jack, I assume you don't wear earrings.
I do, actually.
Please tell us about your earrings.
I'd rather not talk about it.
Very good.
Or my pantyhose either.
All right, we'll probably stop with that. So, Jack, when you retired, you moved to an island off of Maine, and then you moved to a barrier island here in Florida. What is your affinity with islands? What's that about?
I think everyone is drawn to islands. We, in '86 it was that I left a 35-year career with, I'd been with NBC for 25 of those years. And my wife and I had started vacationing on this small island. We had had a little cabin built there. We were the only people in residence on it was the only home on the island. And we found that when we were there on vacations, it was not just that we liked that place, that island, and that aloneness better than we liked the 8 million people of the megalopolis of Los Angeles, but we liked ourselves better when we were there than when we were in the big city. And so that's what drew us to the island. And there is something, a magical aura about an island that tells you that it is your world, and you can comprehend what is on an island. You can't hope to comprehend what is on the island of Manhattan, of course, because that's not an island. But you can comprehend what's on a small island, and you can come to know it and trust it and believe it. And surrounded by nature for 13 years, as we were then on that island, we became more aware that when people worship nature, as many do, they're worshiping the wrong thing. And we learned over our time to be aware and be grateful for the fact that we were worshiping the God who created that nature. Nature is but his tool to advertise his greatness. And that's what changed us and transformed us in our 13 years there. So when we did make the change then to move down here, it sort of had to be an island again. So, and we wanted to be as close to Terry Hansen as we could.
So I guess I should ask you, how has humor helped your career?
I think this is called wit and wisdom. I think we've got those going with these two good people here. I mean, isn't this a radiant woman here? Yes. Isn't this, and so ebullient. You see the commercial she did for Keep Sarasota Beautiful, and you realize that she, in person, was doing it every time she appeared.
That's right.
And Tony, the gracious and wise man here, these are the wit and wisdom. I'm the palaver and BS.
All right. Thank you very much, Jack.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I want to thank the Gulf Coast Community Foundation of Venice for supporting us for 9 years with that program. It meant so much to me. It meant so much to people in this community, I believe. And I'm so grateful that they were our proud sponsor for that long a time. We were grateful.
You're quite welcome. Thank you. So I'll toss this out to the three of you. What is the most significant moment of your life, and how does it impact you today?
Okay, Sandra, go ahead.
Okay, I'll start.
Ladies first.
I believe the most significant time of my life is when I was in school here. I will always tout the teachers that I had. I thought we had one of the most dynamic principals, Roland Rogers. I was under the tutelage of his leadership, and I thought that our teachers, our community, and our parents worked together. We were very well trained. We were taught to love our neighbors as ourselves, and everybody looked out for each other. We had what you call the front porch mom. They would watch for our parents, so we were able to know that whatever our parents told us, we had somebody else watching us, and we were to do as we were told to do. And that was really significant to me because it has helped chart the course of my life today. Those values that I was taught from those entities, those people. And today, I live by a lot of that. And my mom had told me once, she says, you know, a rolling stone gathers no moss. And I thought, what does that mean? And she said, well, you find some place and plant yourself and grow. So that's what I did actually with the government when I got hired there. I decided that I was the only one who could choose what I was going to do with my life. I had choices, and those choices were I wanted to be the best that I could be, look the best, know the best, do the best. So I decided that when I got hired, I came from Jacksonville from college, and I got here on Sunday. I would look for a job on Monday. I was hired that Wednesday. So I thought, whoa, this doesn't happen like this. So I decided, you know, I think what I'm going to do here, I am going to plant a seed. Because I always felt like there is always something about every job that you won't like. So why don't I just make myself at home and grow tenure? And that's exactly what I did. When I got hired, I decided, I may not like that, I might not like that, but at least I know that. And I know who's here and who's not, so why should I continue to leave, go from job to job, because it's something that I don't like? So I found a mechanism to deal with it, and today it allowed me to have been on the job for 42 years. Mm-hmm. And I attribute that to my upbringing, the people who helped my parents, and also even staff who helped me. So that's my story.
Thank you, gentlemen. Jeff?
Oh. March 2nd, 1951. I was in a high school speech tournament in Orrville, Ohio. Isn't that a great town, Orrville, Ohio? Huh? You betcha.
Popcorn.
And there was a young gal who was a freshman at another high school competing in the same tournament. And during a break, a bunch of us were sitting around playing cards. And then at the end, we went all off to our different events. I won a medal at that tournament. The little girl from Orrville, Ohio, won a medal in her event. And I got home and found the deck of cards, which was hers, had somehow gotten put in my pocket, and I thought I must have picked it up by mistake. Well, you know better now, don't you, folks? Yeah, I didn't. And we were married and have been for 53 years, and that was the most significant time of my life. You know, there are people, there are big muscular guys who go to Canton. This tournament was in Canton, Ohio, at McKinley High School. There are people who, big muscular guys who go to Canton every year from the NFL to get a gold jacket and a statue of themselves. I went to Canton, Ohio in a red jacket, and I was with the NFL, albeit the National Forensic League. And I got a love for the rest of my life. I feel the football players are getting cheated.
Well, summer of 1953, my father, a neighbor, said to my father that he was going, he'd been playing golf the day before, and my father should maybe go along with him to see what golf is. And I remember my father saying to my mother, "I'll be back in an hour." 4 hours later with his dinner in the oven, and my mother, "Where have you been?" sort of thing. He was bitten by the golf bug, and I was introduced to golf in 1953. And I left school at 15, not much of an education, but where golf took me in this world, playing with kings and presidents and CEOs of corporations all across the planet, that was my education. I learned from all those wonderful people I was able to play with, the education that travel gave. I've been going round and round the planet for 40 odd years now. That was the most significant thing, I think, all told, that happened in my life when I was introduced to this game, which is, of course, a game for life. I mean, I was 8 years old then. I'm 68 now, and I can play golf while I can walk. So I'm very pro golf.
Does wit or humor play any role in golf?
Oh, if you don't have a sense of humor, I tell you, if you knew the times I've returned to hotel rooms after a bad day on the golf course, and said to myself, "TJ, this is only a game," But of course, it was so much more. To me, it was a way of life, and if you don't have a point at which you can take it all in fun and laugh at yourself for being so serious about a game, then you wouldn't last very long. So, no, golf is it's obviously serious at the sharp end when you're in your profession, but you have to know where to stop beating yourself up. And take a step back and say, "Hey, luckiest man in the world being able to do this for a living."
Very good. Did you ever have, and I'll ask the two of you this question too, a really embarrassing moment that you had to use humor to laugh it off?
Well, I don't know whether this is, it wouldn't be embarrassing to anybody, but I mean, I've hit a putt twice from this far once and then again before it got into the hole, in an effort to make sure I made the putt. I mean, this is when you get things out of perspective. You're trying so hard, you're making it impossible for yourself. And yes, that's pretty embarrassing when you're doing that in front of hundreds of thousands of people and television cameras going. There's no hiding place. And if you don't keep it, as I say, in perspective, then you wouldn't be able to go on, move forward. And there's a time, of course, for all of us when you need to recognize that it's the time to back off now. And when you're young, you're the actor. As you get older, you should become more of a director. And that's how I've tried to change my life through the years.
Thank you. Sandra, an embarrassing moment that you've had to laugh off?
Well, I think perhaps that the earring deal was pretty embarrassing. However, it was true. Laugh that off. And one day I went to a meeting and I was late, and one of our staff members said to me, "You're always late." And I'm like, "I'm not always late," but that was an embarrassing moment. That was the only time I can remember having been late, but I'm never late anymore.
Okay, who's next? John? No. Well, I just had a prostate removed. What? And 5 days after I got out of the surgery, which Dr. Winston Barzell, who was the great urologist here in our town, we were so lucky to have him here, had told me he thought that the surgery would prove to be dry. Leave me dry, if you know what I mean. It's going to be more embarrassing as I go on here, folks. 5 days after I got out
This isn't my most embarrassing professional moment. It's yours.
I guess I must have. 5 days after I got out of the hospital, I was due up in Boston to host, as I did every year for 10 years, I guess so, the 4th of July concert on the Esplanade with the Boston Pops. And I found myself positioned up on top of the 100 Beacon Street building, eight stories high, on the roof there, looking down on 1/3 people, and with however many people watching on television. And I was going on the air and announcing that, now the orchestra will be right back, and we're going to now we're going to take a break, and then we'll be. And I'm doing all my announcing from up there, and I'm thinking to myself, isn't this just hilarious? I am standing up here in front of 1/3 people live down there on the Esplanade, and maybe 5 million people more out watching on television, and not a one of them knows that I am peeing my pants. You gotta have a sense of humor with that,
Your poor crew. Who knew?
That's a good one.
So, Jack, what do you know now that you wish you knew then?
Depends.
Sandra, changing subjects a bit, what do you wish you knew now?
Well,
What do you wish you knew then that you know now?
what I wish I knew then that I know now is how to say no. And I did adapt a just say no day. So if anybody asks me something on my just say no day, I say, I'm so sorry. You asked me on my just say no day.
I love that.
Can't do it.
Very good.
Wonderful.
It's a tough one. I suppose I'm a bit like that. I mean, back in the day, living in the UK, very small, and I was available to everybody when I was winning my major championships, and I tried to be all things to all people, and you can only do so much. And at the end of the day, you're better off suiting yourself. I think it affected my career trying to do too many things, but I was the first. There was no examples ahead of me in modern day golf, and I thought that it came to me to have to do all of this stuff. And I see these fellas today that do more what they like to do, but the world's moved on. It's a long time ago, and we learn and they learn. We set the table for the generation after. So, and that's the way it's supposed to be. I look at the generation that was there before me. I played golf with a lot of them in the 50s, and they were great guys, and they didn't get much out of it. And so it works. That's the way. I mean, now I don't think they're playing golf for a lot of money. I think it's obscene. The money that is in some sports. But it continues to rise, and it must be good as long as they keep it in perspective.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
Of all the senses, common sense is the least common.
Very good. Very good. Sandra.
To know who you are. Know who you are and not allow anybody else to define that for you.
I think I learned very early on what Sandra is saying. I learned it in different terms. And this is what I pass on to grandchildren when I have a chance to talk with them. And that is, be yourself and not what you think someone thinks you should be.
Very good. Wow. Thank you all. And one last question for each of you. What parting comment would you like to tell the audience regarding living a life well lived through wit and wisdom? And while they're thinking of that, I'll remind you that you can still be filling out your yellow envelopes. Hold them up.
I'm not retired. I've no intentions of ever retiring. I think you've got to keep moving forward, having experiences, living. And I'm fortunate to have been in a business that's allowed me, as I alluded to earlier, adjust and readjust. And now I'm designing golf courses. I still travel. I still meet a lot of interesting people. I like to be busy, and I'm fortunate I've still got my health. And while I shall continue to work and remain occupied. I think it's so important. You know, the devil finds work for idle hands, I was always taught when I was younger. And I see it in a lot of young people. And so keeping busy is about what I'm about.
Seems like it's hard to believe someone as young as you is considered a pioneer of golf. Isn't that what you've described in a way?
Well, from a British standpoint, I was the first British player to win a tournament on the PGA Tour over here. So in that respect, none of my predecessors from the UK came to America to play golf. The world was a different place. Travel wasn't as easy, and they chose to stay home. There was a war. They were busy getting over the war. I think it took a good 10 years in Britain to get over the Second World War, and that really took us into the mid-50s, and I came along in the early 60s turning professional. So, opportunity wasn't there, and in that regard, playing overseas and being an international player, getting on aeroplanes and flying around the place, I was the first from my country to do that. And so in that regard, I was a pioneer. Now, a lot of them live here down the road in Orlando, the McElroys and all of those young fellows that have been so successful. So, it was, I suppose in some respects, I set the table for them. And they learned hopefully, from some of the mistakes I made at that time when I was at the top of the world in golf. Again, as I say, trying to do too much, trying to be all things instead of. I think my career at the top might have been a bit longer if I'd have, for example, lived in America at the time and been less available to people in and around London and that sort of thing. But that's hindsight.
Sandra, a parting comment about living a life well lived.
I would say to be confident, honest, and caring. I like to share my strength and hope with others, hoping that they don't make the same mistakes that I did. I have a passion for the elderly and also the unfortunate. I have been very blessed. I have been very successful, and I did it through confidence, and I didn't always have it. I had to learn it, and I grasped it, and I understand that I have choices today, and I am the only one can choose how my life is going to be today, tomorrow, or my entire life. I have those choices. Self-pity to me is a waste of time. Nobody really cares, and it's not something that anybody wants to get into your self-pity pot with you. Usually people say, call you up on the phone, and it's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I've got this going on. Well, you just spoil that person's day. And the things that we do in our own haven, I'm not saying don't share with your friends, but pick your friends, but not to pieces. And I also believe that our companions, as I say, is like the buttons on an elevator. They'll either take us up or they'll take us down. So I think it's a real concern of who we hang with and who we choose to spend our time with, because people can chart the whole board meeting if someone comes in with a bad attitude, if you allow that. But I tend to not allow people to rent space in my head. It just doesn't happen. And when it gets to that point, I'll find a decent way to exit, because I choose to be happy. And positive is what I love. Positive is what I tell myself. I do believe what you tell yourself is what resonates. If you say, I'm fat, I'm out of shape, then the body goes, well, my mind goes, well, I'm fat and out of shape. No, I'm not. I'm working on getting thin. I'm going to be okay. And I say, be okay with yourself. When I'm okay with me, I am okay. I work hard to present myself well. When I walk out my door, I'm okay. If I'm not satisfactory to someone else, but I am okay with me. And I choose to be okay with me, because I believe if I'm okay with me, if I work that hard to be presentable, I think I'll be okay with the rest of the people. I think I'll be accepted. And that's not my main course, is to be accepted. Because as long as I accept me, I think somebody else will, because that means that I've put a lot into making it happen. And I always just say, my word is my bond. Most people in Sarasota that I have dealt with know that I will keep it. If there is any way possible that something happens and I cannot keep it, I will call you. I think it's just golden. So I live by the golden rules. I'm a very happy person, and I like people, I love people, but I choose to set boundaries. And I choose to take today, as I have learned, that I have to take some time for myself. I worked a long time, and now I have learned in my 60s that I can do that. I'll tell you a little story. My mom is here in an assisted living, and she's 84, and I walked into her room one day, and I said, Mother, what are you doing in your gown at 2 o'clock in the day? She looked me right in the face, and she goes, I thought when I got to be 84, I can do what I want. Okay, so that's it.
Thank you. And Mr. Perkins.
Yesterday on Facebook, I saw someone had posted, someone apparently in the area that was endangered by the storm, had posted a simple saying, can anyone give me some words of comfort? And I don't know the person, but I saw that posting, and I responded to it, or replied to it. I said, trust God. It seems to me that when something terrible happens or is about to happen, or when we fear that it will happen, we are much better served not by going to our TVs, but by going to our knees. My wife and I, on 9/11 of '01, as soon as we saw the bare outlines of what had happened, turned off our televisions, and for the next several days we turned them on only for an hour in the early evening to get the news and the roundup and try to catch up with it. And we spent a lot of time figuratively on our knees, and were much, I believe, much better served by that than we would have been to be caught up in all the immediacy of the hassle. I mean, I knew from working in the news business long enough, I knew that what would be on the television for the next hour after hour after hour after hour after hour would be speculation and conjecture and overstated comments that would not prove to be accurate, so there was no reason to waste all of our time and let that infect us. And so I hope that whoever that was on Facebook saw those 2 words and took them to heart, and that it brought a little comfort. That's the only comfort I have to offer, is the comfort that I am given by my God. And I find that enough.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. What a great group of panelists. Jack, Sandra, Tony, the words of wisdom with your wit have been truly inspiring today, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy, busy lives to share part of yourself with us today. I'd also like to thank Melissa and Kim and Liz and Estelle for all the work they did to put this wonderful event together today. And if you haven't given up the yellow, Scott's reminded me, the yellow envelope, he will personally come by and pick it up. So please hold it up.
Yellow envelopes, yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Can I give a general idea of what kind of dollars?
Sure.
Or do you want to?
Go for it.
Thank you.
Quickly.
You know, thank you for everybody in the room today. To give you some idea of where we're at, I see a yellow envelope in the back. We'll be over there, I can assure you. Thank you, everybody. Just a fast accounting. We are over this room today, $63,000. So thank you so much. I know, John, I know, Estelle, you say thank you. Since 1948, the Pines lives on. Thank you.